Can Virginia Tech football set a new course and earn their first win of the season?
Will anyone figure out how to beat Hokies men's soccer?
How will Virginia Tech women's soccer handle the start of ACC play?
All that and more coming up next on this week's 3304 Kickoff Show.
Hello and welcome into the Center for the Arts here in Blacksburg, Virginia for another edition of the 3304 Kickoff. I'm Robert Bateman, joined alongside by Taylor Bretl. And TB, let's get right into it on the gridiron where Virginia Tech hosts ODU this weekend in a matchup that's kind of setting up to be rather exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting matchup, right? People call it's not a border battle, it's within the state, but you're on different ends of the state. So it's about 300 miles for ODU to get here inside Lane Stadium. But this isn't just a regular game on their schedule. This is a must-win, Rob. I mean, for anyone, if you've watched those first two games for Virginia Tech. South Carolina, a little bit of what is this team going to be? Played them pretty close, right? It was a 7-point spread, 13-point game. Offense needed to get it going. You play Vanderbilt. Offense gets it going, and then defense collapses in the second half. This game is crucial. It could be crucial for Brent Pry, anyone on that coaching staff, some players in their starting jobs. So it's going to be interesting to see when ODU comes into town.
Well, last week was rather forgettable for the Hokies, and we'll take a quick peek at what went down in Lane Stadium when Virginia Tech hosted Vanderbilt in their home opener. So we start on Virginia Tech's first drive of the game as Kyron Drones drops back and rolls out to his left side. He scans for the end zone, fires a pass across the numbers, and it's caught by Braden Bennett on the goal line, but the ref marks him at the 1, and the Hokies are just short. So they will not be able to punch this one home. They get backed up on 4th and goal. I mean, look, what a throw for starters. Braden Bennett just can't corral it. It's called incomplete.
Yeah.
Drones with the dart. And here comes the field goal from John Love to give the Hokies the 3-0 lead. We check in at the second drive for Virginia Tech as Kyron Drones gets his legs going a little bit, finds the open room, sticks a man before going down, and look at him hyping his team up.
Yeah, Kyron Drones really mobile in this game. Been waiting to see that.
So now 3rd and goal. Drones rolling out to the right side, fires a pass to Jerisis Hairston into the back of the end zone for touchdown number 1 on the season for Virginia Tech. We check in with Vanderbilt. Now it's Diego Pavia dropping back, firing deep down the sideline, and he has a man wide open to trot into the end zone. And Taylor, from here, it really only got a little bit better for the Hokies as Kyron Drones sneaks into the end zone for 16-7 as your score. We check into the second quarter. Vanderbilt blowing out the Hokies 30-20, and just like that, Cedric Alexander punches another tutty in. Vanderbilt scored 34 unanswered in the second half, and Virginia Tech falls 44-20 to the Commodores.
And now, Rob, we're going to take a look at the Monarchs and this team that is coming into Lane Stadium in their dominating win over NC Central. We start here with a special teams play to kick off in the middle of the first quarter. Just takes down the punter to get 2 points on the board early.
Yeah, I mean, the Monarchs just rallying on special teams. If you're a fan of ODU, you can't be happier. If your team's winning on special teams, that means you have a good chance at winning the entire game.
They're not just winning on special teams, they're also winning on offense. This running game for Old Dominion just torched NC Central all game long, gashing their defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, he got open space and was nowhere to be found as soon as that ball was handed off to him from Colton Joseph.
Yeah, and speaking of Colton Joseph, look at this beautiful pass in the corner of the end zone there to put ODU up 15-0, and this 15-0 lead, Rob, it starts to pour on when we get to the second half here.
I can't wait to see the swag and surf from the fans. I mean, they love that over in Norfolk.
Yeah, and we talk about the running game once more. Look at that, breaking 1 tackle, breaking 2 tackles. He's on his way home, 50, 40, 30, 25, 15, 10. No one is close. This ODU running game is going to be interesting to see how they line up against Virginia Tech, who was allowing a lot when Vanderbilt was in Lane Stadium. And we look right here. We talk about the backs. You also have Colton Joseph, who can just make it look easy like that. Saw him torch Indiana despite the loss on the ground. Had a 75-yard run. Right there, he has a quick 5-yarder into the end zone, and this is when they just keep pouring it on. This Old Dominion team is clearly going to prioritize the run when they come here in Lane Stadium.
Well, those Virginian foes are no stranger to each other on the gridiron, and they have a shorter history than you might think. And with more on the all-time clashes between the Hokies and Monarchs, it's our very own Robbie Ackerley.
Just 295 miles across Virginia separate Blacksburg and Norfolk. Yet up until 2017, Virginia Tech and Old Dominion had never squared off. Here we are in 2025, however, and both programs are preparing for their 7th meeting in 9 years. Instead of focusing on this Saturday, let's turn back the clock and take a look at this in-state contest that's turned into a little bit of a mini rivalry. We start in 2017, where the Monarchs and Hokies began their series, the first ever meeting between the two schools. Then Hokies quarterback Josh Jackson, who had that stellar freshman campaign for the Hokies under center, went off, 300 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns to go with it. Tech dominated Old Dominion, and when the clock hit 0, the score read 38-0 Hokies. Now, you figure a program like Virginia Tech would get this result against Old Dominion more often than not. However, as we move forward into 2018, this isn't the case. In 2018, the 13th ranked Hokies made the trip east, and while Tech did score 35 points, the Monarchs matched them at every turn. The score was 7-7, 14-14, 21-21. You get the gist. It was a barn burner. In the end, however, the Monarchs triumphed over Tech, 49-35, derailing the Hokie season, which ended up being their first under 500 campaign since 1992. Fast forward to 2019, Virginia Tech would get their get back, handling the Monarchs with ease, 31-17. Senior quarterback Ryan Willis was the name to look out for in this one, as Willis had 300 total yards and 3 total TDs. After this, the Hokies and Monarchs would go on a break for a few seasons, but like every good love story, these crazy Virginia kids got right back together. Now, the year is 2022. Justin Fuente is out and Brent Pry is in. A head coaching debut against a group of 5 team should have been the game that gave Hokies fans hope for the future. Instead, the Monarchs would take advantage of some growing pains and 4 interceptions from then quarterback Grant Wells. Also, for those who remember, this was the game where part of the Tech coaching staff got stuck in the elevator right as the second half was set to kick off. Talk about a rough debut for Pry & Co. So after 4 matchups over the course of just 6 years, the Monarchs have hung with the Hokies, and the series sits at 2-2. The next 2 matchups in 2023 and 2024 saw near identical results. Virginia Tech beat Old Dominion 36-17 2 seasons ago and 37-17 last season. These are the kind of results the Hokies were expecting when signing the series. The main problem is the Hokies really don't gain much from a win, while a loss pretty much ends their season. It seems Tech realized how little sense it made to continue the series, as this past July, it was announced the Hokies and Monarchs would clash only 3 times up through 2031, canceling 4 future contests between the two schools. On Saturday, the 0-2 Hokies have a must-win contest against the 1-1 Monarchs. Will Virginia Tech finally get their 2025 campaign back on track, or will ODU upset the Hokies for the 3rd time in 8 years? Rob, Taylor, back to you guys.
While there's tons to talk about with Virginia Tech football, let's cross over Beamer Way and head to Thompson Field, where Virginia Tech men's soccer sits undefeated. Our very own Sophie Anderson has more. Sophie?
With college football dominating the headlines and screens, it's easy to overlook another sports kickoff, college soccer. And one soccer team that simply can't be ignored is our very own Hokies. After finishing just over 500 in the 2024 season, the Virginia Tech men's soccer squad has burst into the 2025 campaign with statement performances. They opened with an upset over then number 3 Ohio State, followed with a decisive win over Canisius, and battled to draws against number 2 Marshall and a strong Virginia team that entered the year ranked number 17. And they just held a top 10 scoring Furman team to 0 goals. Not bad for a group predicted to finish 13th in the ACC and not even close to the preseason top 25. Now, they're sitting comfortably in the rankings at number 14. And earlier in the year, they reached the ranking of number 8, the program's best since 2021. This may seem like a quick turnaround for a year. You may be asking, what's so different about the team this year? The answer is simple. Pretty much everyone on the team. Of the 26 players on the roster, only 9 are returners. The Hokies have 11 freshmen making their college debut this season, as well as some standout transfers. One is goalie Sam Joseph, a 6'4" UCLA transfer who was named to the ACC preseason watch list and earned an ACC Defensive Player of the Week. There's also Ugo Bertelli, a transfer from Campbell who, before coming to the States, played professional soccer in his home country of France. Bertelli made a name for himself on the offense quickly, scoring his first goal for the Hokies against Canisius. And while there are a lot of freshmen, they are no novices when it comes to playing on the big stage, many having played professional soccer overseas before coming to Tech. Players from England, Spain, Germany, and Portugal who bring a wealth of experience, even though they're the new kids on campus. Of course, you can't forget about the familiar faces. Alex Perez, who is the leading goal scorer of the season. Ian Marcano, a player who makes his presence known offensively and defensively, and Andy Sellens, who transferred from Virginia 2 years ago and continues to bring the energy and goals to the team. Despite having already played 2 ranked teams in the first 2 weeks of play, the schedule does not get much easier from here. The ACC is no slouch in soccer, and the Hokies will have their work cut out for them in the second half of the season, playing at Stanford, North Carolina, Clemson, and hosting Louisville, all of whom are in the top 25. But the Hokies have defied expectations before, and they can do it again. The season is still young, but football fans have a lot to look forward to this season, as long as it's the football played on the pitch. Guys.
Great work, Sophie. You made sure our next reporter has big shoes to fill. And speaking of trying to meet expectations, VT women's soccer set the bar rather high last season. With more on the Hokies' aspiration for glory, here's Landon Weaver.
It's rare that any Virginia Tech squad rises to national prominence. In recent memory, it's only been that fateful Final Four run courtesy of the 2023 women's basketball team. That was until last year. After a strong regular season, the women's soccer team received an at-large bid to be the 7th seed in the 2024 NCAA tournament, and boy did they take that and run with it. The ladies promptly knocked off number 2 UCLA at their crib, as well as 3-seeded Iowa in Ames en route to the quarterfinal. The Blacksburg squad was the lowest seeded team to reach the Elite Eight, and that unfortunately was where their run ended, as they fell 1-0 to top-seeded Duke. Let's take a look at the other quarterfinal matchups. Wake Forest took on Southern Cal, Stanford took on Notre Dame, and the Tar Heels battled against Penn State. What that means is 6 of the 8 teams were ACC members, and to make things even more interesting, the College Cup was composed entirely of ACC squads. National dominance. That was last year. It's September now, so why does that have any relevance? Virginia Tech already played host to defending national champs and number 19 ranked North Carolina last night. And on top of that, 6 of the 10 ACC opponents that Tech will face this season are currently ranked, including 4 in the top 6 of today's rankings. It's a make or break schedule, folks, and last year it certainly made the Hokies the national contenders they ended up being, picking up a pair of top 10 wins against Florida State and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This season, the Hokies breezed through a few non-cons early, then ran into some trouble against a duo of CAA opponents, losing to ODU and drawing against the William & Mary Tribe. Despite those 2 results, there's plenty of optimism hanging in the air surrounding this squad. The Hokies kept a great percentage of that 2024 squad, including star goalkeeper Lauren Hargrove. Tech also took advantage of the portal, bringing in Eliana Salama over from SMU, the Mustangs' leading goal scorer. There's plenty of talent on this roster to recreate the success of last season. With that being said, the goal isn't just the Elite Eight appearance, it's the College Cup, a feat that no soccer team, men's or women's, has experienced since the ladies made it in 2013.
Thanks, Landon. Well, while the Hokies kick off against Old Dominion Saturday, there are many other college games happening. So, Rob, I got a question for you. We've seen upsets in college football. I'm going to need you to pick an upset that's going to happen this week.
Well, you know, we cover a lot of Virginia Tech, and surprisingly, there's 2 teams facing off this week that we've already seen play against Virginia Tech this season. It's number 13, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Me personally, Vanderbilt, they might be the dog, but I think Diego Pavia and crew can knock off Lenora Seller and the Gamecocks come Saturday.
I like that. Do you think Pavia is going to do a lot on the ground? Do you think he's going to have it in the air, kind of a mix of both? What do you think he's going to have to do?
I think what it really comes down to is just getting on a roll offensively. As soon as Clark Lee had his offense firing on all cylinders, the Hokies didn't know what to do, and Vanderbilt put up 34 straight. Lenora Sellers and crew, obviously they can score the ball. They have a Heisman candidate at quarterback. But we did see them struggle against the Virginia Tech defense, whereas Vanderbilt's offense didn't have as much of a struggle.
Yeah, well, you're going to take that as your upset. I'm going to take a game with another possible Heisman quarterback candidate, with Clemson going down against Georgia Tech. I think Haynes King can get the boys rolling and take down the Tigers. I mean, the Tigers, coming off a game against Troy where they only won 27-16, did not look anything like they should on the offensive side of the ball. And Georgia Tech, you know, you talked about dual threat with Pavia. Haynes King's got a little bit of that. He can throw it, he can run it, and I call it an upset. The line is pretty close on this one, just 3 to 4 points, and I think Vegas knows there could be an upset brewing in Georgia.
Well, all right, that is all we have for you on this week's edition of the 3304 Kickoff. For Taylor Bretl, I'm Robert Bateman. A big thank you to our reporters Robbie Ackerley, Sophie Anderson, and Landon Weaver. And we'll be sure to catch you guys next Friday on the 3304 Kickoff Show.